So I think what happened was that account number was fat fingered, and let me just fix this in the account. I'm going to drop it to 2 instead of 3 zeros. And what happens is if this is his first time setting up, so the support.tradethebolt website is for when you need to change from an old to a new account number.
Right.
If he never ran this before, and he should be good now, just so he knows. He did DM me. I'll update him also. But if someone just bought, say, the EA and they're installing it for the first time, you don't have to use the support.tradethebolt website. All you have to do is just run it, and it's going to take the account number that's there, and it's going to throw it up, and it's going to attach it to your account. So if that account number ever changes is when you need to use the support.tradethebolt. So it seems like maybe he had it just once, never ran it, and but maybe that support.tradethebolt website was used, and then that's where maybe it was fat fingered.
Okay. Yeah, he's had the original one. So he's been through all the beta versions and everything. So that's what happened. He is too many zeros.
That's it.
Yeah,
it seems like it was too many zeros there. So that's that issue there. So there's not one instance. You see, I think what's happened is when I dropped the beta for everyone, the beta didn't really validate. It was almost like a demo version for free, right? Like anyone could have ran it. It didn't validate your ID. That's why if you didn't load your ID, it would have just said, hey, you know what, your trial's about to expire within a period of time, and blah, 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 blah. And I had an expiration date on it, coded, so that it would force everyone that at the end of that period, it would force everyone to have to install a newer version. But I think what's happened is people got comfortable within that 2-week period that they were throwing it on multiple accounts, and they were throwing it on 2 accounts, 2 accounts, 2 separate accounts. And it was like, hey, it was no big deal. So then when the 10.5 came out and it's saying, hey, you know what, you need to run a EA, you need to run it on 1 account. People are saying, oh, it's not running on my other account. This is my demo account, but this is my other account. And it's like, no, you could only run it on 1 account. But during the beta, I was allowing people to test it as they wish. So, but after that version, with this newest version, I haven't come across any instance, and we can go into the chats, any instance where it did not work for some strange reason. It always, if it did not work, it was because of an account number that was not connected to the to the EA. So that's there. So I'm waiting for Des to join. Des's issue is a little different. His issue is that he has sporadic internet drops in his area, and then that is causing, when it's trying to authenticate, it's failing that internet connection, and it's saying, hey, I can't authenticate. And it's then saying you need to make sure this URL is in your MetaTrader 4 so that I can authenticate, because it's saying, why can't I get out there? And it's because of the internet is dropping. His issue is totally different, that he's been having for quite some time. And I think Des just joined. So Des, are you there? Can you hear us? Des, you may have to unmute yourself. I just requested you to unmute. It should pop up on your screen. I'm clicking ask to unmute. So for anyone that, is listening, I'm really, truly not trying to be difficult or an ass at all when it comes to watching those videos, because it's the same thing I'm going to be telling you. It's captured in the video. And, when for an EA that's as powerful as this one, it's going to take, people aren't just going to jump in. So that's why you need to understand why and how and the reasonings behind it, because it's going to give you knowledge on how to trade it once you have it set up and running. I can easily say, hey, you know what, this is your zone, or this is that, and then for me, it becomes repetitive when I'm working on other things, when the answers are in that video. And then for two, you're not picking up the reasons why and understanding, well, this is why it's working this way, so that when I have to maneuver and change configurations, I understand why I need to change it this way or that way. So, and then of course, if you get through those videos and you have questions, by all means, you know, like we're doing now, I'll jump on the Zoom, but I really need, you know, for people to take that initiative. I made the videos because I tried to cover the things that people were asking me at that time. But, you know, if 114 people were asking me all the time or asking the community all the time, it then becomes, you know, an interruption, especially during market open. And I wasn't going to trade today because I knew I had a lot of things on my plate. But going forward, for those individuals, I can answer and redirect everybody on the fly really quick. But when it comes to these issues, like a setup issue, it's going to be very hard for me to work with you at the moment you need it if the market's open, because I need to support everyone else getting the bag, and I need to get my own bag as well. So it's best that those that may have issues, try to set it up the night before or the morning of. I do, you know, because my mind is on things, I do wake up 3 a.m. or whatever time, and I look at my chat just to see if I'm tagged, and I'll know, okay, I got some questions to answer when I wake up, you know. So by all means do that, and also drop the questions in the community. I know some of individuals try to some of the individuals will try to let me tell Wallet to jump on the Zoom. Hold on. So I know a lot of individuals would try to sidebar me. I get a lot of the sidebar questions that are the same. If you want to have a conversation, hit me up on the side, that's cool. But if it's going to be a question that can be answered by the community, I'm going to always retag you and put you back in that community, because there's tons of people here that will help. I mean, I've seen everyone on this call help everyone else. So we need to keep that. Otherwise, what it's going to do is it's going to bog me down, and it's going to slow my production down from turning around what I need to turn around for you guys. And also for me to get my own bag. I'm here to get my bag as well, you know, in the markets. I want us all to get the bags, but I need to get mine as well. And I need to have a certain level of concentration for me to do how I do it. So, so I just wanted to open up with that. But now, Brian, I think you're resolved. Des, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, great. Okay, great. And Des, what I'm going to do is I'm going to, I guess my question is it seems like you installed it, right? But I guess there's other questions like how do you're having to reload or re-enter the ID. So these are the things that, Des, we could go over again, where you can save your settings and reload them as you wish. So other than that, what other questions or concerns are you having, so I can attack them all? Because I'm still not getting a grasp of the major, you know, the setup. I'm sure the setup is not just the ideas popping up. There's got to be something else that is perhaps slowing you down with the EA at the moment.
Oh yeah, thanks. Basically, the input Telegram ID keeps popping up, right? I've had to do that again and again. That's one. Then two, for the templates, I was just the video you sent just now. I was watching it, and I see that I don't have those templates loaded up. So that I could have the MAs and the other things on my chart. Basically, I think that's all. All I just need everything to be well loaded up, and I'm good to go. That's all.
Okay, just like templates. Okay. Okay, cool. So let's go this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share. Are you okay with sharing your screen so that we can walk you through it? Or if not, then I'll share mine.
Yeah, I mean, I can. That's fine.
Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make you admin. Let's see here. Admin. This thing always disappears.
So share screen, right?
Yeah, I have to make you admin, and then you can share your screen. Dash. I'm gonna make you host. Okay. Okay, you're host.
So here is it. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, it says you started, but I don't see the screen yet.
Okay.
Okay, there it is.
All right.
Okay, perfect.
So
first thing you could do is this. Let's talk about the ID number. Okay, let's right click the chart. Right, and let's go to Expert Advisors. Right, and let's go to Properties. Right, and then let's scroll down to where your field is, where that Telegram ID field is.
okay. Yeah, here.
Where is it? Okay, cool. Now, do me a favor, click the Save button. Right, so there is, and I guess that's the LB set there on January 25th is when you and I were online and we set that up, but we can save it again. And keep in mind, anything that you put in that Expert Advisor properties will be saved. So if you're running this on, say, gold and it's an M1 and you want to have different settings, just name it LB gold minute 1. You can type it right now, just type it LB space gold space M1.
So what I just wanted, like I had the last time, I just do just one setting which I use for all the different the timelines, basically time frames. Sorry.
Okay, so you could, whatever your naming convention is, my recommendation is definitely have the instrument in the file name, because that may change based on how zones spread and things like that. So you may want to do LB gold, because that's going to be different perhaps than your settings for LB US 30.
Okay.
Yep.
So here.
Yep. So now,
okay.
Once you've saved it, it's saved. Click cancel. And let's remove the EA.
Okay.
Not there, remove it from the chart. So go to the chart, right click, Expert Advisors, remove. Right, so now let's load, now you can drag that EA back on. Yep, and then when it gives you that dialog box, just click load. Right, and then you can load the gold set. And that will have automatically populated all the fields you need, and you don't have to enter your ID anymore.
Okay.
Right, so that resolves that. So that's basically, that's all that you need to do there. That is resolved. If you have a special condition in your EA that you want to save and recall in the future without having to remember the values and configurations and such, then that's how you would manage that. You would just save your set. You can save it. I've got tons of sets saved in mine. It's in the video that mentions it in the first 13 seconds of that second video on the playlist on the setup, the best setups. It talks about exactly this, how you saved your EA. But you and I went through this before, so it's just a refresher for you. It's definitely not new, it's a refresher. So that's how you save that. That's how you will save your settings. Now, the next thing as far as the EAs, the moving averages. The moving averages that I talk about are the 20, the 50, 100, and 200. So just add them. I mean, you can just add those EAs, those indicators. If you clicked on the indicators on the left bar, on the left margin under Navigator. No, that's an Expert Advisor. That's not an indicator. Click on the indicator branch.
Okay.
It was right above.
Yeah.
Let's do it differently, because that's a very convoluted way to get there. I want to do it differently so everyone can do it the same way. Yeah, indicators there.
Yeah.
Right. And then now what you'll do is you'll go down to, and you will find trend. You can expand trend. I believe trend is a moving average. Moving average is a trend indicator. And you see moving average, just double click it. Right. And you can enter the 20. right? And change it from smooth to simple. That's what I use if you want us to use that one, right? And it says apply to, yeah, to close. And then you can change that one to, yeah, you can keep that one as a red. I have mine as red, right? Either one, yeah. Click OK. Right? Now that you've clicked OK, you've got that 20 there. You can repeat that and add the 50, the 100, and the 200 also. I think the 50 I have is yellow, if I'm not mistaken. Right? Click OK. Right? So now say you set this all up before you go through all this now, right? Say you've gone, because I want you to work on this as well on your own so you can get familiar with it. Say you've now got your set up the way you like it. Then what you could do is you could save this as a template, right? So you can right click the chart, go to template, and then click on save template and call it LB or lightning bolts, whatever you'd like. Yep, and click save. And now what that's done is that's going to save everything that you have on the chart. So it's going to save those zones and things, but as you update or change or recalculate zones, it's going to remove what it needs to and such. So that's saved. So now you have a template that has your simple moving averages. So if you wanted to, go to your other chart right next to your US 30 M5. Right? Now what you could do is you can right click that chart, go to template, and load the template. It's there, it says LB in the list straight down. And now that will load the 20 and the 50 on your chart.
Yeah.
Right. So that's how you can set it up. That's one way. I will give you the templates that I have, but I wanted to show you because sometimes you're going to have to, you may have some setups where you want to configure it differently than the way I have it. Right. So you have to be able to know, this is how I can add the indicators. You know, the moving average is not, you know, adding indicators is like a, you know, it's a part of trading. You got to be able to add an indicator and remove it. So whether I've given you it or not, I'm just showing you it's super easy for anyone to add the 20 or the 50 or whatever I'm talking about onto your chart. It's simple and easy. It's built in. Us as traders, no matter what trading platform we use, we always, whether it's mobile, we're adding EAs, we're adding trend lines. You just have to get familiar with how to add it here.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's that. I will set you up where you can have a template for all of the I guess we could do this now for all of the so I'm not sure, do you practice using a chart for each time period, or do you just have one? Like
I usually from on the old LB, I have, you know, as you usually advised, I have all the time periods open up. But because I've not really had this all set up well, that's why I don't have the different time frames opened up.
Got it. So just for rule of thumb, and it's also in this video that talks about, let's see here, the video that talks about, and this is for everyone so that you know where to get this information from. If you go, and I dropped in the link, if you go to the lightning bolt strategy, I'm actually going to drop that playlist link also in the installation folder. Hold on one second. While we're right and hot here and hot on the topic, I want to copy this out there as well. Where is that playlist? Here it is, playlist. I'm going to copy this link. I'm going to go to installation. Right. And I'm going to see, I'm going to say, here's a playlist of videos to add. Here's a playlist. There's a playlist of videos to watch in order. Please review and it's the first 5 videos. Right. So this video talks about that strategy of setting up multiple time frames And you know, we've gone through it as well. So you know about the multiple time frames. If you want to have that set up, then there are templates I dropped in the community, actually in the installation video and the installation folder or channel, that will allow you to load a profile, and the profile will set up your charts automatically into the 4 different charts you need. So if that's what you want, let's walk through that together.
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
I'd want the templates based.
Okay. So, and the only thing is you'll have to reload one of your, I'll show you that. So if you want that for those 4 screens, then what you'll need to do is you'll need to go to, in Telegram, go to the installation.community. I'm sorry, the installation.algoking channel. And
yeah.
We don't see it, so maybe you can change your screen to share that as well.
Okay, yeah, just a moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. This, right?
Yep. And then if you scroll up.
Can you see it?
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yep, keep scrolling up, keep scrolling up, keep scrolling up, keep scrolling up. Keep going, keep right there. It says here, want your charts to look like mine? It says one, go to, yep, it says go to the MT4 data folder, then navigate to your profiles folder. Create a new folder called US30. So in your MetaTrader 4,
okay,
go to your MetaTrader 4.
Okay.
All right, and go to File, Open Data Folder.
Yeah.
All right, and then
saved 2 files. Let's see. All right.
Right, and then if you go to go to profiles, I'm sorry, go to MQL4. Where's your profiles folder? It should be in the root. You don't have one. So let's see here. Let me just take a look at mine real quick to see exactly. I want yours to be exactly where mine is. Okay, so let's go back a level. Just go back to the, yeah, just go back 1 level. Create a, oh, there's profiles. Yeah, click on profiles. Right, and then there's US30. Okay, so you've done this.
I that's what I'm saying. I think I saved those.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so to apply this, all you need to do is go to your file, go to MetaTrader 4. Yep, you can close that window. Just go to the charting window. Yep. Go to File, Profiles. Right, and you see US30.
Yeah.
Let's click it. Right, and it's going to say waiting, waiting, waiting. Do me a favor, close your terminal down below.
Right.
Close your terminal.
I should close the terminal.
No, the terminal window below. You see where it shows, like, you know, trade, exposure, account, all those tabs below. Just close that so we can have more chart room.
Oh, okay.
Right. So now you see how it says waiting for update, and it's not doing anything. Do you see that? Okay. So the reason why it's doing that is because if you look at the symbol in my charts, I'm using US30.cash, where you're using just straight US30. Right. So what you need to do is you need to go to your market watch window, which is if you press Control M. You can press Control M.
Yeah, I did that.
Okay, there. And then go to US30. You see the US30 and drag that onto each of those charts that say waiting for update. It simply is trying to wait for an update for a symbol it'll never get because your broker doesn't recognize US30.cash. That's an FTMO symbol. So let's drag that onto each chart.
Okay, so what do you want me to do now?
Drag US30 from Market Watch onto the chart so we can see the chart with candles. Boom. And do that for each one of those charts.
Oh.
Right, because I gave you guys a template, but I gave it to you in the best way that I could with the symbols that I use versus what you use. We're all going to have discrepancies. Jack didn't have this issue because he and I both are using FCMO, so the symbols were the same, so it just popped up, right? So now don't close windows, right? Because you're going to change the layout. So just keep it as is. Did we close a window? 1, 5, 15, 30. Okay, cool. So
I should close everything.
No, do not close anything. Do not close anything.
Okay.
Okay. You see the US 100 tab on the very last one? It's on the bottom. It's on the bottom. You see the tabs where your charts are? You have a tab for each one. No, it's a tab on the bottom. Go all the way down to the bottom. Yeah, there. Go to the right.
Yeah, on right. Okay, yeah.
Right click that, and you can close that window because this is US 100. We're talking US 30.
Okay, I can close this one.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Now that you're going to have my layout, what you're going to do is 1, 2, 3, 4. You see the US 30 H4 window? Yeah, click that. Minimize that window. Yeah. Minimize that window.
Okay.
Okay, now what I want you to do is you see the, now go to your toolbar up top. Yeah. Because it gave you guys my resolution and your resolution's a little lower, so we have to just redraw or rearrange the windows. You see where the negative magnifying glass is? Right, you see the negative magnifying glass in the toolbar, not the tools menu, but the toolbar. You know, it has auto trading. You see auto trading. No, that's not going to be there. It's going to be there. Yeah, go to the right. You see where it says auto trading? Keep going to the right. You see go to the one right next to it. You see that thing that looks like a grid? Click that button. Yeah. That's going to reorganize all your windows. That's going to rearrange.
Okay.
Right? I'm just waiting for it to pin on my side. Okay. Make sure you drag the US 30 to that bottom right chart that says waiting for update. Yep. Cool. So now I'm wondering if the algo is actually loaded here. I don't know if it is. So right click any of those EAs. Oh, I'm sorry, those charts.
Yeah.
I just need to see the window. I'm waiting for it to paint on my side. Okay, so the EA isn't loaded. So now just add the EA to each window and load the, actually, you know what? Let's load the template. Click on template.
Okay.
Right, and let's click on LB. Cool, we'll get that going. So you have that happening there, but that is, okay, you could do it that way too. Right click that chart again, that M1. Right, expert advisors there. And this is for your M1 chart, right? So just keep that in mind. This is for your M1. So you're going to change that because zones are going to change for each one, right? So when you save the template, I just need everyone to understand this, and you can look this up because this is a MetaTrader feature. It's not a Algo King feature, a Lightning Bolt feature. This is everyone just getting familiar with the environment you're working in. A template is going to save all of the indicators and expert advisors that are on that single chart, right? So we saved it as, we saved it with the EA attached at the time. So what I want you to do is just remove that expert advisor.
Okay.
Yeah, just click remove. Right? And what I want you to do now is, I want you to, even to go even fresher, even go back a little bit further, right click the chart, go to the object list. You see it there, object list, right there.
Yeah.
Yep. We're going to delete all these objects. Object list. I just needed to paint. It's there. It is. Now select all, like Control A or select all. Yeah, and delete. I'm going to give you just like a raw template. Let's delete that. Right, now click close. Now right click the chart. I just need, yeah, and click on templates and then save that template as LB. Override or overwrite the template we just created. Yes, it's recorded, Jack.
Sorry?
And just click that LB, overwrite that LB.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So what we've done, just so everyone understands this, so what we've done was, we just saved a template that has just those SMAs that you see on those charts, those indicators that you see on the chart. When we saved it the first time, we saved it with the LB, expert advisor on it. So when you load the expert advisor, it's going to be, it's going to load that expert advisor on the chart also when you load the template, right? But because we are going to have different settings for each lightning bolts time, or for each chart time period, we're going to have different settings for the lightning bolts. I wanted to remove it from the template so that you have just a raw template with moving averages. So this is why earlier on, Des, when you were saying, hey, you just use one, but this is why you can get creative. And this is for everyone to just manage it the way you'd manage your own file system, which is the way I would do it to save me time, okay? Right now we have a template that just has those simple moving averages. I personally would add the EA, and I would save, and I would load my settings that we saved, and that would have my simple moving averages plus the EA loaded on it, on the chart. Then I would save that as a template called US 30 minute 1. It would be called LB US 30 minute 1. So that then when I want to recall a lightning bolt chart or a lightning bolt EA on a minute 1 chart, all I have to do is load that template, and that's going to load my simple moving averages and my custom EA settings for the minute 1 chart. You guys picking up what I'm putting down?
Definitely. That's what I had to do too, Squawk, because remember last week you were saying take the fibs off of the 1 minute because it doesn't really follow trends. So I said, okay, let me remove that and just make a template just for that particular situation.
That is correct, sir.
Lots of sense.
Yep. So that's why you have to, how you use it. I'm giving you guys the cookie cutter way, and it's going to be just fine. But I know as you grow as traders, you're going to have different customizations, and you're going to want to save your settings. You know, it's always save. You got to save your settings, save your settings, save your settings. It's like when you write a Word document. If you guys have ever experienced a computer crash when you're in the middle of a Word document and you didn't have auto save on, you're like, fuck. You know, you have to save your settings. I do that with code. Every time I'm coding, I write just a sentence or two, I'm Control-S-ing, I'm pressing save. You have to do that because it's going to be a special setup for each chart. And the reason why Des and everyone else here on this Zoom, why it's important or why it makes sense to have the template saved with the EA loaded is because all you have to do is just load a template that's going to load your simple moving averages. It's going to load your RSI indicator because it's saving every indicator that you have on the chart, and it's going to load the EA for that time frame. If you didn't have that, then what you will be doing is, if you didn't have that, what you'll be doing is you will be having to load the template, and after you load the template, you're going to have to then load the EA. Right? And then you're going to have to click on load the EA settings, and then you'll load the EA, and then you'll have a template loaded with just simple moving averages. Then you would have to load the EA onto the chart, and then you'd have to click load the settings for the EA, double click the settings that you wanted, and then now you'd have those EA settings on the template. That's why it makes sense just to save it as a template, and it's just really a one-click thing. It's just, you click one thing, which is loading the chart template, and that's going to load your EA, your simple moving, your EA and all your indicators all at once. I hope that makes sense. Brian, I believe you got it, as you explained, but it's important that everyone else gets that. That is just the way you handle, you know, if everyone's worked in Word or an Excel sheet, and, you know, you have your monthly, whatever it is you do in Excel or Word, and you have your monthly file, it could be monthly invoice or monthly bill for this month, and you have a file set for each category of type. You have to do that. That's the best way to do it. So with that said, Des, what we're going to do is now, I want you to load up those SMAs. I think you have the 20 and the 50. Let's load the 100 and the 200 on the chart, and let's save that as a template. So that white line, I'm not sure what indicator that white line is. That's the 200. Perfect. So let's load the, let's double click that where you have your mouse. So I want to see the settings of that 200. Smooth. I'm going to ask if you can just set it to simple for now. Right, and click OK. And then now let's load the 100. Right, and keep that simple. And you can change that to like a green or something.
All good.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, what I'm going to ask you to do is save. If you want RSI on every chart, then save the template as LB. If not, remove the RSI and then still save the template. But it's going to be like, it's a template, right? So it's the start of something. So it's like a cookie cutter template that you can rinse and repeat all the time. So you don't have to select it there. That's complex because that list is going to get long. Just double click LB that's in the list.
Okay.
Just double click it. And then yes, replace. Okay. So we're building this template, right? Now what we've done is we've saved it with 4 SMAs and an RSI, right? So now what I'd like you to do is load your EA onto the chart, the lightning bolts EA. You'll have to load it from the list, yeah, to the left. It's below. Just scroll down. Yeah, that one. Double click that. Now,
load, right?
You can click load, correct. And that not LB gold, because LB gold was different. Just click the LB that we saved before. We'll start from there. Start with the LB that we saved before up top. It says LB up top. Just double click that one.
This, right?
Yep, that's the one that we worked on back in January. Let's click now. Don't click OK. Do not click OK. I want to go through these settings. Okay, so it's important that the last settings I saw it was you were only going back 300 bars for zones and things like that. Okay. We're going to save this template with these settings because these are the settings that I would use. We've got, if you look at zone settings, we've got 1,000 bars back for zones, calculating. This is saying the M1 is going to run zones on a 30-minute chart. That's what I would change. And I would change that to say 5-minute. So change your zone period to 5-minute. And this is why it's super important that you have zone setting, you have your settings for LB saved, not just as LB or LB gold, but you have to have it a little bit more defined, a little bit more granular, because you're going to have different settings for different time periods, right? Otherwise you're running the same LB, just different time periods, and it doesn't make sense to run it that way, right? So now minimum height, change that minimum height there. Change that to say 20. So just so that everyone knows, the minimum height, this is a new setting that we put in 4.10.5 that basically says, if a zone is less than 20 pips, and that may be too high because it's a minute 1, but this allows you to filter out zones that are not above that height value, because it'll just give you, zones that are a little bit more prominent. Right, but I want to actually, what I want to do is let's just change that to 0. I want to see how it looks, and then we're going to filter it down. But this is something that these settings you're going to have, these are living settings. You're going to have to go into these settings all the time and change them as market changes. Okay, let's scroll down a bit. Let's see here. let's see here. Draw, yeah, you can scroll down a little bit more down to the Fibonacci section. Right? True. Yep, that's fine. Those draw fibs is true. That's perfect. Let's scroll down a little bit more. Now, what we're going to do is here, you see where it says enable MA trend lines, it's set to true. We're going to set that to false. And I'll explain this. It's in my videos, but I'll explain it again. What this does is this tries to assist you with finding the trend. So if you set that MA trend lines to true, it's going to use the next two values, the fib baseline type. We're saying it's going to be an exponential moving average, and the moving average is going to be 50. And what it's going to do is, and it's going to calculate what that moving average is. So when you get a fib and it calculates a fib, it's going to calculate, say we're looking for buys, right? It's going to look and it's going to say, well, were the majority of the candlesticks that created that fib, were the majority of those candlesticks on the top side or above the baseline? And if it was, it's going to calculate that as moving with the trend, and it'll only draw fibs that move with the trend, right? So if we were with sells, if we were looking for, it's going to only paint bearish lightning bolts if the lightning bolt itself, if the majority of those bars that create that Fibonacci retracement, if they're below your baseline, right? Because if you look up, I mean, that's how people use moving averages as a way to follow trend. We know, hey, if price is above the 200, we know we're bullish. If price is below the 200, we know we're bearish. So it's the same logic. And that's what we're using to identify trends, and fibs work well with trends. So, but because the reason why we're turning this off is because we're working on the 1 minute chart. And the 1 minute chart is very hard to identify trend on the 1 minute chart. You could be up and down very, in an instant. So because of that, I just want to display all lightning bolts, fib retracements, all lightning bolt fib retracements, because I want to be able to make the decision on the fly and build confluence up with zones and with the lightning bolt fibs to determine if I want to get in or out. We're going to turn that feature on once we get to like the 5, the 15, and the 30, or even the 15 and the 30, because those time periods trend well. And if you get a fib, we don't want to act on a fib that is opposite of the trend. And that feature is going to allow us to just paint lightning bolt fibs that are running with the trend. Does that make sense, everyone?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. So that's what that feature is going to allow you to. We don't want to have a bunch of false alarms where we're getting these lightning bolt fibs that are painting bearish when we're really trending bullish, or they're painting bullish when we're really trending bearish. This will allow you to find the trend. But on the minute one, what I'm saying is, it's very difficult to find the trend on the minute one, so you might as well turn it off so you can see all of those fibs, those lightning bolt fibs, and you can make a determination as you start to build your confluences up with other things. So we'll leave that as that, and let's scroll down a little bit. Okay, RSI divergence, we're going to keep that as true. And basically what that's going to do is, it's an RSI period of 14 is set to true. So basically that's going to find our RSI divergence on a 14 period average. It's going to look and it's going to determine it. And if you have the RSI indicator loaded on your chart, what it's going to do is it will draw on the RSI, it'll draw the divergence signal on the RSI indicator, and also it's going to draw it on the actual chart, so you can see higher highs being made in price while lower lows are being made in RSI, or vice versa. That's the divergence part. That's the outward funnel that it creates, or the inward, depending on if you're bullish or bearish, right? So we know RSI divergence is as price makes lower lows, RSI divergence will make higher highs, and it's going to draw a line on your chart from one low to the lower low, and it's going to draw a upward line from RSI's lower high to its higher high, so you can see that there's divergence there, right? So we'll keep that the same. And then let's scroll down a bit more. I think the next setting that we want to see is the automation section. Let's scroll down some more. Keep going. Okay, so manage manual entries. We can keep that as false because you can turn that on by clicking the button that says manage manual. So basically what this means is if you're in a trade and you just entered a trade and you need targets where you want to take your simple moving averages. I'm sorry, you want to take your profits, your partials. You can click manage manual. And what that's going to do is that's going to then look at all the positions you have opened on the chart that you're on. So if you're on US 30, it's going to manage any position that's open that doesn't have targets. It's going to automatically plot those targets for you on the chart in an instant, right? And what targets is it going to use? It's going to use the targets that you defined in the exits and the take partial section, right? So it says there, if you go down a few bars down, it says enable MA targets. That's set to true. So that means that those simple moving average targets that we defined there, if you could put your mouse on that, there's just so we know where it says enable MA targets. Yep. Now, if that's set to true, it's going to use the next two fields as your targets. It's going to use the simple moving average of 20, 50, 100, 200, and 800 as targets. And the minute you click manage manual, it's going to plot those targets on the chart for you so that then as price is touching those simple moving averages, it's going to automatically partial your position by the partial percent that you set there, right there on the screen above the blue bar. It says partial percent, 50%. So it's going to partial your position 50% the minute it touches any of those simple moving averages. And it's going to automatically take partials and put that in the bank for you. Put that in your, it's going to cash that. It's going to take profits off the table and reduce risk along the way. I hope, does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
I need a yes or no. Okay. Cool. So there is a okay. There is a video out also in the playlist that talks about all these settings that I'm discussing as well. You should review it. It's in the playlist. It's watch the Algo King EA automatically create take partial targets. And it talks about moving averages and fibs. Okay, so you should watch that as well. It's all in that single lightning bolt strategy playlist that I dropped. So let me go back to Zoom. Okay, cool. So that's going to allow you to take those partials immediately. What you can also do is, you see where it says enable fib targets? That enable fib targets, let's leave that as false, but that enable fib targets, basically what will happen is, say you were getting into a position that is in the trend. Sometimes if it's in the trend, you may be getting into position where the simple moving averages are behind you. They're not above you. So then what are you going to target? So that's when we use fibs, and we target the fibs as our take partial lines, right? So does that make sense? If I had, let me see if I can annotate here. I don't know if I can. No, I can't annotate here, but let's see here. Let's take a look at, for example, let's take a look at the, you don't have to close anything, but if everyone looks at the bottom right chart on Dej's screen, it's the US 30 M30, it's the 30-minute chart. You see those SMAs, how they're below, right? Say we got in a few bars back, Dej, to the left, a little bit. You see where that those moving at, you see where price is close, yeah, right there, where price is close to that moving average. Say we got in there. Just say for some reason we got in there, and we wanted this EA to manage our manual entry, because we made an entry, and now instead of us trying to figure out where to take partials, we want the EA to figure it out. So we click the manage manual button, and what happens? It's going to look at what I mentioned, those simple moving averages, the 20, 50, 100, 200, and 800, and you can change this to whatever you want, whether it's SMA or EMA. But if those simple moving averages, we went into a sell, say we got in as a sell, those moving averages are behind price, right? So what is it going to target? It has no targets. It can't target anything. There's nothing to target because the simple moving averages are behind price or above price, and we're expecting price to go down. We're in a sell. So that's when the fib targets come into play. And I will show you how to run those fib targets on my screen so that Des doesn't have to get into positions on his. I'm going to show you that on mine, but I'm going to talk you through this and we're going to jump back to my chart. So that's where you want to set those values to target. So now that we have settings set for this minute 1 lightning bolt, we should click save. Yeah, let's scroll. You can scroll down a bit. I'm sorry, Des. You can scroll down some more just so we can see other settings that I'll show on my screen, because I think everything you have is fine. Yep, stop loss protection, enable stop loss protection. These are settings that you guys have in the videos that you guys can talk about. We're really here trying to set up templates, but we could be on for a while talking about these other settings. Yeah, cool. So, and of course, quick pip control allows you to control the buttons. You can scroll all the way down, all the way to the bottom now. Yeah. And it talks about, you know, your button height, these buttons that you have, you can change the heights. You have hotkeys for each buttons. Go in here and work with it. It's in my video as well. Now let's click save. I'm going to click save so we can save this set. And we want to call this LB US 30, LB space US 30 space M1. M1, yep, I'm sorry. Yep, click OK or save. Cool. Now you can click OK. Right, so now you see there's no zones, right? If you could expand that window, can you maximize that M1 window? Yeah. Where is it? Okay, cool. Does anyone know why zones aren't being displayed? Anyone?
I think you need to go up to the time frame you picked in the settings.
That's correct. So if you're not seeing zones, you're like, hey man, I set my zones and it's not there. Press F7 again. I'll go into the settings, Des, so that we can see the Z. I know it's 5, but I want to show people. I want to see those settings for the lightning bolt EA again.
F7.
Yeah, you can either press F7 or you can right click the chart, experts. Right, and then you could go to properties. Yeah, so we set those zones up for 5 minutes, right? So we are on the 1 minute chart. If you look at the chart time frame we're on the 1 minute. So the only way for us to get those higher time frame zones is we have to change the time period from M1 to M5 so that we can paint M5 zones on the chart. And then once that's done painting, we can drop back down to the M1. And now we'll be looking at M5 zones on a M1 chart. So let's do that. Click cancel or press escape, either one. Okay, and let's click on the minute 5 chart. I'm sorry, let's change the time frame to minute 5. Boom. You see those? Now we've got zones. Now what you could do is you can now change the time frame back to minute 1. And now we're looking at minute 5 zones on a minute 1 chart. Right? So this is why, once again, to go back to the original thing we're trying to assist with is how to set up your EA. And this is why you need to have unique names, because once we change to the M5 chart, we're going to have minute 15 zones on a minute 5 chart. So we can't load the same settings or the same template. We have to have separate templates. So that if we're loading an M5 chart, all you got to do is go to your template, say, oh, it says LB US 30. What instrument am I trading? US 30? Okay, let me go to LB US 30. What time period? Minute 5. Let me click the minute 5, and it's going to load all those custom settings on your chart. right? So now we're good to go there. We're good to go on the M5. Now, let's go to your M5 chart. Right? And now you'll see, let's see here, you can what we'll do is you can load, because I'm going to give you the shortcut. What we're going to do is we're going to load that M1, that US 30 M1 on this M5 chart, and we're going to change the EA settings and then save it as M5 so that then you can recall those M5 settings. We're going to customize it. So why don't you right click the template? Yeah, template and load. Oh no, did we not save it? I thought we saved it. Let's go back. Let's go back to your M1 chart. Yeah, and let's right click. Right, and then we'll click templates. And we'll say, and we'll hold on one second, everyone. Hold on, I'm gonna click save. All right, and click and let's save this LB. Tell me what you would name it. Tell me what you would name this chart.
LB US 30 M1.
Yes, exactly. Yep. Click save. Cool. So now you have the LBUS 30-minute one. Now that's going to save all those blue zones also, right? But that's okay because the EA is going to erase when we change the time periods, it's going to repaint those zones anyway, so it's going to remove it. So now let's go back to your M5 chart. And let's right click. All right, let's go to template. Yep. I may be behind you. I may be behind you because there's just a little lag. And let's click on it. Yes, US 30 M1. Yes. It's still not refreshed on my screen. Does anyone else see his screen, or are we getting it frozen? Okay, there we go. All right. So, Des, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, cool. So it's just a lag, and I think that's why I'm behind. So now let's go into your EA settings. Oh, it didn't load it. Even better. That's even better that I didn't load it. Let's go to your navigation window.
Mm-hmm.
And let's load that EA on. Yep. Right, and click load. And you're going to load the US 30 M1 set. Right, and now we're going to change, since we're on the M5, you see where it says zone period 5 minute, change that to 15. Right, and then zones, you see where it says draw zones from bar 1,000. That may be a lot of bars. Let's change that to like 800. And just as a refresher, what does that mean? So if we were all doing this manually, if everyone here should know top-down analysis on how to, without an EA, draw zones, support and resistance. You should be able to draw that, you know, like the back of your hand. And the way we draw support and resistance is basically support and resistance are supposed to be areas of price that consolidate at a period of time, and where price has returned to that area numerous times. So that means that we're not looking at current bar, we always have to look at to the left, and we have to always look at history, right? Price history. And when we look at price history, we as individuals, when we draw our charts, we go back in time by a number of bars that is really up to us. Some people may just look at just the bars on the chart and draw it. Others may say, you know what, I need to see all of today's bars or all of last week's bars, or let me go back a month. So the bar that we start at is really relative to how we personally draw zones. So lots of times individuals say, hey, I don't got that zone, I don't have this zone. Well, it's because we all draw things differently, but this setting determines how many bars back from the current bar do you wish to start drawing zones, right? So you got to think about it. If you want to do it manually, you'd have to, in your mind, when you start drawing a line, you're really determining, well, I'm going to start here at this point. What made you start at that point is entirely up to your analysis and why you started to draw a support or resistance line or zone, right? So cookie cutter, 800 bars is a good amount of bars. If we get too many bars, we may have to change the amount of bars, or we could change the minimum heights to help filter things out. So the number of zones that are, how you filter zones out can be managed by the number of the draw zones from bar setting. You can either go back further in time. The further back in history you go, the more zones will be painted. Why? Because there's just more price action that we're drawing zones from its highs and lows, right? And then also we could change the minimum height. We can say, damn, this is a lot of noise on this chart. Let me filter out some of these zones and just keep the more relevant ones by filtering out by height. You know, if it's a small zone, we can change the minimum height to a certain amount to filter some of the noise out. But let's start with 800. Everything else should stay the same. So let's click OK. Right? And those zones, are those zones the zones we should be looking at or not? Are they accurate or are they inaccurate zones? Does anyone know? The zones that don't, say again?
Should be 15.
That's right, absolutely. So let's change to the 15-minute chart. And that's going to clear out those zones, and it's going to repaint your chart, which it did. And now you can drop back to the 5. Cool. So now you're looking at 5-minute zones. I'm sorry, 15-minute zones on the 5-minute chart. So let's zoom out a little bit, Des, if you can. Cool. So I just wanted to make sure these other zones are there. So these zones, they're spread apart, but because they're 15-minute zones. So 15-minute zones are going to have wider or taller swing highs to swing lows, right? Zones are always drawn. If we've drawn zones, everyone knows zones are always drawn from swing highs and swing lows. And then we draw out and we look to see, well, are those zones touching other price areas in price? And that's how we can determine if they're respected zones or not respected zones. Okay, so now that we've got these zones set, I'd like you to right click that chart and click on template, and let's save the template. And we can call this LB US 30 M5. And you can click save. So I just showed you the driver and the reasons behind why we need to have separate zones. I'm sorry, separate templates for each chart, each time frame. And the reason why is because there's different settings. So the minute 1 had 5-minute zones. We wanted to save that as a template. And then the minute 5 has 15-minute zones. We want to save that as a template. We won't want to load the M1 template on a M5 chart now, right? Because we know that then we're running M5 zones on an M5 chart. There's sometimes you may want to run that, but make that change on the M5 template. Don't change the M1. You have to learn just to manage your settings well. This gives you the flexibility to really tap into flexibility and power by really having granular settings. So now you'd have to repeat that for the 15 and the 30-minute chart as well. But before we go there, go back to the M5. I just want to make sure that we did save. If you go back to the expert advisors, if you right click the chart, expert advisors and properties. Yeah. Just want to make sure that we click save. I may be behind, so, but click save. I just want to make sure that we have the template there saved. Okay, so remember, we got to save this template also. So LB US30 M5 is the name, because this is the settings for the lightning bolt strategy on the M5. Perfect. So you always got to remember to save that. Right. And now you can click, yep, you can click OK or cancel, whichever one. Right. So now what I want you to do, Des, is 1, 2, 3, 4. I want you to go back and in the toolbar, rearrange your windows so you have the quadrant windows, the 4 windows. Not in tools. Yeah, let's click that. Cool. I'm just waiting for it to refresh on my page. Cool. So you have the M1 and the M5. Now what I want you to do is go to File, up top, File, upper left. I'm just waiting for it to repeat. I don't know if you clicked it or if you're lost. So, okay, File, click on Profiles.
Yeah.
And click on Save Profile. Don't load. We want to save the profile. Yeah, I can't see the screen. So Des, I think
save as.
Yeah, file, yep, file profiles, save as.
Save as.
Yes, and then US 30. Is everyone else lagging also just a bit? Is it seeming slow? Please give me a yes or something.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So this, Des, is because you're the host, this is your internet connection. I want to just bring this up that if your internet connection is lagging, it's going to cause you to have that error where your EA can't authenticate you, and it's going to give you that pop-up. So I just want to make note of that you need to have, you know, a strong internet connection, as with anything, especially with price data, because price data is constantly flowing, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I understood that. Yeah.
So what I'm seeing is the save profile box. If you click, make sure you save it, click OK. I don't know if you did already. It's just a lag, so I'm just asking because I'm not sure if I'm just behind a few seconds or not. Did you click OK and save the profile already? Yeah. Yeah, this is the internet. We're probably going to get the message very soon.
Yeah, it's lagging hard.
Yep. Yeah, it may drop him and then put me as host again. But we're going to continue because yep, he dropped. Yep. So this is the issue that he's having. Can you guys hear me? Are you guys with me?
I can hear you, man.
Okay,
Yes.
cool. So these are the issues that he's having with internet, and that's going to cause him to get the pop-up box that says, hey, you know, let me share my screen because I want to show you guys this. That says, yeah, he's going to get the pop-up box that says, tools, options. That's going to say, hey, add this URL to the to your charts. I'm going to show you the pop-up message that he sent. This is what he's going to probably get, and he probably got it. If he dropped due to internet, he probably got it already. Let's just go to community. He's getting this message. Where is it? This one. This one. He's getting add the address because the EA needs this. This is the authentication address, and the EA is trying to reach out there and is saying, I can't reach it. So it's saying add this address, and that's the error that he's receiving, and it's due to his internet connection. If you guys have good internet and you're not seeing any, you know, drops, or your internet's not dropping packets and things, then you're good. you're going to be fine. You won't experience it. No, I've not known of anyone else that has experienced it except Des at the moment, simply because of the internet connection. So now I'm going to continue on my end, right? But we have to save those settings. You got to save those settings and save that profile. I hope Des joined us. He did join us. I hope that Des saved the profile as I don't have it on this machine. I have it on the London server. I'm sorry, yeah, my London server. The proper setup. So you want to make sure you have the proper profile saved. So as you're building your layouts, always save your EA settings, save your template, and save your profile. And once you get it right, all you have to do is load your profile. Your profile knows that, hey, what I saved, this whole entire profile, what I saved, I'm going to draw this out. Let's do a screen share, new share. Is there a whiteboard? Yeah. So when you save I'm going to show you the hierarchy for templates, sets, templates, and EAs, right? So here you have, I'm going to draw it like this. You have profile, right? Then you have under profile, you're going to have templates, and then you're going to have sets, right? So I'm going to type in here also, just so that we can all get the clear understanding of the hierarchy. This is the file templates, MC MetaTrader, profile templates, sets, hierarchy. Right. Boom. So we know that this is going to be profile. This is going to be template, right? This is going to be set, right? So a set, what is a set? A set is a collection of EA or indicator settings, boom, right? Template. I'm really giving you guys like a MetaTrader 4 lesson. This isn't even trading, but this is good for you guys to know. A template is a collection of indicators, settings, indicator settings, and sets. I want to verify that as sets. I believe it is sets. It's a collection of these sets, right? This is the hierarchy. And the profile, a collection of templates, right? So if you save your sets and then you save a template, your template contains your EA settings, right? If you create a template and then you arrange your windows, a collection of templates, I'm going to do this, actually a collection of templates, window, chart, settings, coordinates, and layouts. That's your profile. So if you save your templates properly and your sets properly, when you load your profile, this is all you have to load, and you're going to get your quadrant of windows. You're going to get all 4 of your windows loaded. Now, keep in mind, it's going to only include, you guys can see my screen, right?
Yeah, we see the whiteboard.
Okay, cool. Okay, cool. All right. So you guys are going to, if you're saving your settings, just know it's going to, if you save a profile and you load a profile, it's only going to load the profile. It's only going to load the charts you have loaded. So we were working with US 30 and we saved it as US 30 as the profile name. So it's only going to load the charts that you had loaded. So it's only going to load US 30, right? If you want to look at multiple charts, then get creative with your profile names and maybe call it London market or New York market, right? And then you can have your US 30s, you can have your gold, and you have your NAS windows. You know, maybe you want to call it indices, you know, and then you can have your US 30 and your NAS 100 charts. But you need to coordinate that if you want to have like speedy recovery to load settings and such. Hope that makes sense. I'm going to save this. Okay, cool. I'm going to stop sharing that, and I'm going to go back to my screen, right? So now I want to go over a few things. Also, we're going to extend this. Well, actually, before we go into like the other cool settings, I just want to make sure, is everybody okay with what I explained? I know we have a video, but if you have questions, you can type it. There are no, every question's a good question, but I want to make sure that you guys understand how to save your settings and how to set up your charts. We kind of covered it roughly, but you should still visit that video that I posted. I think it's called best setup for the Algo King Lightning Bolt indicator. You start with this one, and you can go here, best settings for the Algo King Lightning Bolt indicator, and that talks about everything we just discussed, minus profiles. Profiles was an addition that we just really got into. It's an easy way for you guys to, we can share setups for everyone, right? So I shared my setup, and that's how Des was able to recall, the 4 windows and such. You may have to arrange it, nudge it, change the coordinates a little bit, but I think you're good. Here, so Bart is asking for what time frame do you look for divergence? So I like divergence on higher time frames. Okay, I like it because especially if it lines up with the LB. So when you start to look at the 15-minute, let's see if we can get it on here. If we can get the 15-minute, and then I'm going to show you guys some features. Right, if you can get a LB lined up with even if I go to the 30. Let's see here. So I got to look at my setups because we changed the time frames, and this is only because 5 minutes. That's fine. Blah, 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 blah. Fibonacci, lightning bolt, aggressive, true 14. Cool. So I like it. I like the RSI divergence when we're on higher time frames. And if you can get the LB and the RSI divergence to line up together, then that's really good confluence. That would be very good confluence. So I like it on the 5, I like it on the 15, the 30, and the 1 hour. I will look at it on the 5, but I need to have more confluences on the 5-minute chart than on the 15 and the 30. I really have to just build up my confluence a bit. Let me just see something here because my charts are, this is my dev machine, so everything is all over the place. It may not look as pretty. Let's see here. So here, because we got this RSI divergence, and this is unfair because this is on a 5-minute and I'm running 5-minute zones, I would probably run higher time frame zones, say at 15, and I would only go back, say 800 bars, and I'm filtering out some zones, but that's okay. I'll leave it as that for now. I'll click this real quick. Let's take a look here. Let's see what we can get. Right, this, and I want that to stay there because I want to use that as a point, right? Okay, so I got the zones, M5, boom. This here, just because we got this divergence here, means nothing to me because where's my confluences? I'm gonna set this to 0 so we can get all the zones. Where are my confluences? Right, there is no confluences. There is no additional confluences. It's not bouncing off of the a zone. It's not bouncing off of a simple moving average or anything to indicate prices going up. The trend going down, this was, as of just a few days ago, that's a Friday. So we know that the price was just hard. It was pushing down very hard. There's nothing there to say act on that divergence. Let's go back. Right, look at this one here. This is what I like to see. This is what I like to see. We got the lightning bolts and the divergence all on the same bar. When that happens, for me, that is a telltale sign to get in always, right? That is a good enough confluence for me to get in for a quick scalp. So, and you can see if price is rejecting, it begins to reject. As this is playing out, you're going to get the LB because the LB is going to, I'm just trying to get closer so we can see how it played out. The LB, I zoomed in, the LB is playing out right here on this bar, beginning of this bar here, right? And then it painted the sell. And then at this point, you're getting the RSI divergence. And so this is a great bar to enter. It's you also seeing that it's rejected the zone. The price is shot up and it's coming back down. So when you get the RSI divergence with ALB, it's for me, I'm getting in. I'm gonna obviously manage my risk, but I'm getting in that entry. Same thing here. This divergence hit with the LB. I'm getting in on that entry. I would have had drawdown, right? Because the LB, it would have painted right here on this bar. I would have had drawdown of this much, but my stop loss would have been below the LB, the swing low. It doesn't always play out that way. And I want to show you that because it's not always a telltale sign, right? This one worked out, but let me just show you, there's another one that I thought I saw, this one here. This divergence, it didn't bounce off an LB. So this, if you don't get the LB or additional confluences, do not take it. I hope that helps. I hope I could
There
call
was a
you
great one
Bart
from this morning on the M5 on US 30.
on the M5 this morning.
Did you catch it?
Which one, to sell?
It was actually a buy.
The buy on the M5. Let's see here. This may be, what time period were you on?
1815. So that was 3 hours ago.
3 hours ago on the 5.
I can send you a screenshot on Telegram.
Okay, yeah, you can send that to me on the buy. It may have been down here. Yeah, 1815 here. But yours is, remember, I want to save the state of all of those LBs. And are your LBs set to the defaults 14 RSI?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, cool. So yeah, yours, I'm wondering if you reset yours or repaint it, if it would go away. I may, like I said in the past, I don't save the state of each candle, but I may save it so that when we change from a 5 to a 15 and back to a 5, it'll repaint. Let's see here. Let's see here, Chris. Let's see what you got. Yeah, this is fantastic. So you got that one there. So I think if you were to change the time frames, it may remove it, or maybe not, because you're not on my broker.
Yeah, I'm on KOT.
Yeah, exactly. Do me a favor. Change it to the 15 and then back to the, let it load and change it back to the 5. I'm curious to see if it draws it again. But
Okay.
but sometimes what happens is, and Christian, as you know, is that you'll get like that signal, and then when you change time frame and go back, it realizes, hey, it's no longer valid, so it doesn't paint it. But what I'm going to do is, not in the version that I want to release today, but a future version, I'm going to save the state of the candles bars that are visible, so that when you go back, it'll just reload those settings so that you can not lose what you've seen.
That'd be great, man. Yeah, I just switched time frame. It's actually still there.
Yep, exactly. Let's see. Toby says, for me, let me just make sure, let me go up a little bit. Bart squat, yes, that's a, thanks a lot. Okay, cool. Toby says, for M1, the combination of RSI divergence and LB might not be great. Tell that correct. Yeah, because it's still, but keep in mind, because it's still, so RSI divergence, well, let's talk about the LB. The LB is a trend reversal signal, right? It's a trend reversal signal. And I look at various things to create the LB. Some people look at it with just breaking a band, but I look at a certain pattern in there that lets me know it's the LB, that there's an LB there, and it's very, very accurate. So the LB is a reverse signal. Doesn't mean that you're reversing the trend, right? Look at this here. Doesn't mean that you're reversing the trend. Price is going down, but because the immediate price was moving upward and we got an LB, it's reversing it, but it's still playing the trend, right? So it's not saying, hey, we've been going bearish 1,000 pips and all of a sudden the LB gets a bullish signal and we're reversing the trend. Yeah, it does that too. If you build up your confluences, we've caught many moves where we've caught it at the very, very bottom, but it works with the trend too. And I'm just demonstrating to you, because I'm demonstrating to you that, yeah, the LB will work with the trend also. So, but it's just because it's reversing the pullback. There's a push down, it's a retracement, and it's reversing that retracement for continuation and it's signaling. What is RSI divergence? RSI divergence is another indicator that will give you early signal for reversal, right? Because the RSI tells you, and if I pull this up, here, the RSI tells you that although price is pushing up, RSI, there are sellers that are coming in the market and RSI is going down. So RSI divergence is a reversal indicator. If you couple the two together is when it's very powerful. So even on the M1, Toby, it is still very valuable for me as a scalper. If I'm on the M1, I'm scalping, and it's very valuable for me on the M1 to identify when I can get both, and that will still be a good indication for me. I would take those over just taking it, one without the other, if that makes sense. I mean, I'm just trying to show you guys an example here, right? So this one was good, but it was bouncing off of this here. Let me see a LB, if we even get the LB. So this is a very strong push where we got the LB buy with the RSI divergence. So that push is just that, it's very, very strong, super strong here, where this one played out, but it's not as strong as a push, as the same push. Let me just see if there's other examples. Look at this one. This was an LB with the RSI divergence, and that was a very strong push down as well. So on the M1, if you could stack your RSI, if you could stack your confluences on the M1, because it's so hard, it could be difficult to trade because sometimes it's not about trend at all. It's just about price action, and you need to act on it quickly. If you get a RSI divergence with a bolt and it's rejecting a zone, take it. Take it. Keep your stops tight, and of course, take it. Manage your risk and take that trade. I hope that helps you. Let's see here. So what I do want to talk about, and we could get more into details here. This is a good refresher. What says us the triangles? What is the triangle? What do these white triangles mean? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're asking, Bart? Yeah. So those white triangles, that's just letting you know when you get an LB, these are all of the candlesticks that were used to calculate the lightning bolt. You can hide those. You can go to experts properties, and you can go to, you see triangle color, you can set that to none. You can set that to none. And that will just hide those things there. But let me give you, I'm going to help you guys. Like, this is what I use when I say, I'm pausing because I want to make, I just looking, making sure how I'm sharing this. If anyone asks me what is my favorite indicator, I always tell you guys a silly answer, but I mean it. And for me, it's not for you guys, but for me, it's zigzag. Because zigzag can tell you a whole lot of information, right? And that's a good way to calculate, if you're a developer, to calculate where things are at. If you know and understand zigzag itself, and zigzag in MetaTrader 4 is not even an indicator that is basically codable. It's you have to use a custom thing to load it, or you write your own zigzag, which is what I did, right? So zigzag, let me just show you where it's super powerful.
I like that one too.
The zigzag, yeah, the zigzag is dope, right? So let's think about it. I'm going to give you guys a crazy, and this is just something that is going to hopefully let you understand how the LB can work. Okay. So when we look at price moving, right? And I'm going to pause the recording here because this is for us at the moment. And I'm going to pause the recording. Okay, cool. So we're going to continue here. So let's talk about some of the other settings. What we did with Des was that we actually went in and we set up the configurations, and we actually went over these SMA targets, right? And what I wanted to show you guys is that, remember when I said that if we were to get into, say, a sell, look at what price is right now. If we were to get into a sell, you cannot, you can't target anything because there are no SMAs behind us, right? And I'll show you that. I'm going to show you the difference right now, right? So let me just do this. Let me do this. This here. Okay, cool, right? So if you were to say, if I were to get into a buy. Let me drop this. Like really drop it. I don't want to. Okay, so we get into a buy. Once you're in a buy, we're in the buy. And if you then click on manage manual trade, this button here, it's going to then auto target these SMAs that we've set up. And also it will target your band. So I set it up to true. It'll target your band, meaning it's going to target your upper and lower band, because sometimes people will play the bands, the Bollinger Band, where if you are getting into a buy, your target's going to be the upper band. And if you're getting into a sell, your target's going to be the lower band. You can set this to true. And what will happen is the minute I click manage manual, it draws out the targets. You see that? You see how it draws the target? Right next to the SMAs. This is, and it tells you SMA 200. SMA 100, SMA 50, right? SMA 20. It'll show you it'll draw the targets on those SMAs. As these SMAs fluctuate and they're going to be alive and they're going to breathe in and out, these bars, these targets will move also, right? We want to move with the targets. We don't want to just set it to this target and then forget it at that price point, because price, the SMA may be, too close sometimes, or maybe too far away now, but they'll come together over time. And that'll help you get out of trades that are, if they're running low, if they're running for a long period of time, you may want to get out of those trades over time. And as it's moving sideways price, these SMAs come together and it'll hit your target, which is fine. You may want to get out at that time. So it auto drew it. But what if we were in a sell? I'm going to close this position out. You guys can see my chart, right? I'm assuming so, right? So if you guys, if we were to get into a sell, where's my sell, right? And I say manage, right? Because there's green, so that means I'm managing the trade. If I click manage, it turns green. It can't paint targets. Why? Because targets are behind us. So what can you use to target? You can use fibs. So what I said was, there are settings here for fibs that will target these fibs if you set enable fib targets to true. But a better setting that I like, I like keeping this as false, and I like using the fib tool that we have built into MetaTrader 4. So if I were to draw my swing low to swing high, right? The way I configured my E8, my fib tool, and you'd have to go in there and you'd have to go to your fib properties and you can set your values here. You should all have seen this if you used fib in the past. You set your levels. These are the levels here. These lines here are the levels that are painted based on these values that you put here. And if you have this set, I can easily then say, add, you see, once you click on, and I want to just show you this. If I double click the EA or get to it to a point where it could be draggable, it changes this menu to allow you to add a fib take profit and a fib stop loss, right? So I can click fib, I can say add fib TP or add fib take partial, and it'll auto draw those take partial lines out at these fib levels. And of course, those are the only targets we could have are fibs, because simple moving averages is above price and we're in a sell. Does that make sense? For everyone that's listening, I hope that makes sense. But that is how you can target fibs. And if you wanted stop losses, if you want SLs, you can click on fib SLs and it'll automatically move your fib. It'll automatically draw take partial lines in loss so that you can reduce risk if you did the same thing. So I'll close this out. Let me close this trade out and I'll show you that. I closed my trade, but let me show you this. And this is because this is the dev thing and I'm fixing this right now. But if I were to get into a sell, a sell, all right? And I said, this is my fib, and I said fib SL, it'll automatically draw the fib SLs. You can remove these lines by clicking delete. It'll automatically draw stop losses. These are take partial reduced risk lines. You see here it says reduced risk. It's reducing risk at 50% if it gets to these lines. So you can remove all the ones you want, but instead of you getting to your final stop loss, which is say all the way up here, you can reduce risk along the way, which is helpful for you to reduce risk along the way so that you're not having to assume all of that loss if it's going against you. You can say, you know what, let me just take a partial and loss along the way. So by the time it hits your final stop loss, you're not assuming 100% of your loss. You're assuming maybe 50% or a fraction of your loss because you reduced risk as price was moving against your trade. Hope that helps everyone. You guys with me?
Yes, I'm here still watching.
Cool. So that's really basically what I wanted to show you there. And Des, I hope this helps you. Is Des on? I hope Des, you're still on. Let me just see. And that this, okay, Des is gone. Okay, but I hope that helped Des earlier on and everyone else earlier on how you set up your fib. I'm sorry, you set up your environment, you set up your templates and your profiles so that you can have total recall of settings so that you can just pull it up as fast as you can. And then of course we walk through, this is a nice refresher on the settings. So anyone that watches this video, you should have really gathered, we've covered a lot. EA sets, chart templates, and chart profiles, which is the entire desktop of all charts. Profiles, how to save them, how to recall them. We talked about the EA, the zones, the fibs, the RSI divergence, the Fibonacci retracements, and also the simple moving average targets, fib targets, how to auto set that, how to manage your manual trade. It was a whole lot. So I'm going to save this and call this, I'll publish this also and call this like, you know, refresher training of the EA as well. Have we defined the height yet on the zones? Yes, I'll show you this really quick. So I'll drop to the M1, and what we're going to do is we're going to create, actually, it doesn't matter what chart we're on, but I'll do, as an example, I'm going to change this to M1 charts. No, we're not going to do that. We're going to do M5 charts, and we're going to keep it on the M5 time frame. So if we wanted to clear out some noise, you see how we've got these two zones here in the middle here, right? Although they are respected, I mean, I'm sorry, they are respected. I do like those, right? But let's go to a higher time frame then. Let's look at, say, the 30, right? And let's change this to 30-minute zones. And say we just want, since we're looking at higher time frame zones, we really just want some clean zones. The zones that I see here are clean too. But say we wanted to filter out, say we thought that this zone here and say maybe one of these zones here at the top were only the zones that we wanted to play and see. You could go into your minimum height under zone settings for the EA, and you can change this to 20 pips. And what that means is that any zone, painted on the screen must have a minimum height of 20 zones. If it's less than, 20 pips. If it's less than 20 pips, it's going to remove it. It's not going to paint it. So if I were to draw this, if I were to click OK and let it draw, you see it removed all that noise and it just kept these wider zones. So Brian, I hope that was clear to you, but that's how you can filter out your zones. So if you get a bunch of zones and you want to filter them out, you can change your minimum height. Or if you're working lower time frames, say like the 5 minute, you're getting a bunch of zones, you can change your minimum height. But if that's filtering out way too many, then you must always just increase your time period. So on a 5 minute, we'd be set to say 15. If you're getting a bunch of zones, change it to the 30 so that you can just paint 30-minute zones and you'll be watching it on a 5-minute chart. And if there are a bunch of little thin zones that you really want to just eliminate, then you can always use the minimum height feature to filter those zones out. As you can see, I filtered zones out here. If I change this back to 0, it will then draw those zones back. You see it put those zones back. depending on the time frame you're on. For me, on a minute one, I may need to see more zones because I'm reacting quick. I'm not playing zone for zone on a minute one. I'm just looking for a rejection, and I'm looking for it to give me enough band, headspace for me to just take a quick target at a simple moving average, right? So, but if you're looking at a 30-minute, 15-minute, 1 hour minute, 1 hour chart, then you may want to filter out some of those zones and just have a real clear view of where the major zones are. And if you zoom out, if you can see this is a lot here to look at. So I can filter out some zones here. I can say, hey, these 30-minute, let's do 1 hour charts actually. All right, 1 hour charts. Let's let this run. Right, let me change the 1 hour. Let's let it paint these 1 hour zones. You've got all this, right? Now let's clean this up a bit, right? I can change this to say minimum height, say 50 pips. I need minimum height zones of 50. Right, you notice it cleaned it up a bit. It cleaned out some of those zones. It's a lot clearer here in this area, right? So once again, just take a look. 0, this is unfiltered. Boom, it gives you all these extra bars that may not be relevant, although this is still relevant to me. This one may not be relevant here. This one here, you could always go in and you can start to filter them out. I could even say 25, right? Clear those out. Didn't clear out many, you could then increase. You can say, okay, 50. Clear out. Boom, it cleared out those zones here. And now you have your zone down here and you have the zone up here. And that's the way you can start to clear out zones and figure out where you're at within price action and target major zones. I hope that helps everyone. And the zone and just so everyone's clear, right now what happens is you have a setting which I'm going to expose, but it's causing you guys to close out your positions, right? So let me just show you this. None. Okay, it's not yet exposed, which is fine. I will be exposing it, but there's a setting that says that's an action. It says what to do. What do you do if you're in a buy and you get an opposite LB? And right now, the version you have, which is beta, it's set to close all positions. So if you're in a buy and you get an opposite LB, you're going to have the ability to say, I want to take partial, I want to close all positions, or I want to do nothing. Right now it's closing all positions and it's forcing you guys out of trades right now. So if you get into a trade and you want to hold it, just eliminate, disable that auto trading until I drop this new version this afternoon. So that we can resolve that and fix that issue. But the way the auto trader works, the reason why I've come up with that is the way the auto trader works is that it will get into a buy automatically when it gets a buy signal. The minute it gets into a sell, it closes all of my buys and it gets me into a sell. Like I'm just in those trades. So this is a real life situation for us. Even if we're trading manually and we want the EA to manage the traders, we need to make the decision on, well, how do we want the LB to work? Do we want it to do nothing? Do we want to get into do we just want to get a sell signal and then we have to manually trade it? Or you can automate that exit and you can say, close the positions, take the profits if we're in profit, and just close the position if a opposite lightning bolt is displayed on the screen. If there's a lightning bolt that is opposite of the position that I'm currently in. So if you're in a buy position, you get an LB sell, close all positions, or if you're in an LB sell and you get an LB, if you're in a sell and you get an LB buy, close all those sell positions. So right now that's a glitch, and that it'll be resolved so that when we go into the market tomorrow and trade, it should be resolved. So I hope to drop this. I'm a little behind now from this morning, but I hope to drop this. I got to do final testing this afternoon or this evening, and then I encourage everyone to either, when you get it, install it when I drop it, because I'm there to help you, or if you don't install it before market open, don't install it until after market open, so that we can get time like this at this time to work through it together without us really having a major issue with setup and such, right? Just to avoid, so we can get some runtime on the charts and get that going. I really want to get the automation, the target automation done, so I can then release and drop the entries. So that's what I have for you. If you don't have any more questions, I'm good. If you do, ask. I'm here, and we can get answers. And this right here, remember this here, this is key, and this is a little trade secret there, and that's it. So other than that, guys and gals, thank you very much, and I will see you all in the chat, and I'll drop this link as well. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks.